Hi, everybody. Jasmine here. I am so glad to be here today. Today, we're doing our May blogging Q&A, and I'm going to be answering your blogging questions. I know that I got a few questions in on the Bloggers Supporting Bloggers Facebook group, so thanks for those this week, you guys. I'm probably going to start with those. And then, of course, I'm going to answer any questions that you guys have live, of course. So, hi, it looks like the Ordinary Snob is here. I see Drown 80, Katana the Justice. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today. So this is how it's going to go. I'm going to answer some questions. Any questions that come to mind when it comes to blogging, making money with your blog, making money with sponsored posts, affiliates, whatever comes to mind, go ahead and post them in the comments and I am going to answer them for you. Before we get started, I always like to do a little introduction because some of you may not know me. And I feel like it's good for you to know like who I am before I start just telling you what I know. So a little about me. Hi, I'm Jasmine. I have been blogging since 2011. Yeah, 2011. I have a blog called Miss Millennium Magazine. And this year, my husband, Chris, and we created a YouTube channel called Blogging Money Life, which many of you may be watching this Q&A on right now. We're actually going to start another blog with that same name and a little later this year. I see my cat is photobombing. So anyone who knows who has cats, that is Cat Life. She let herself in here. So there you go. So moving on. So I've been blogging for a little over 10 years and I have learned a lot during that time. From making money with sponsored posts, affiliates, advertising, and just finding creative ways to bring in income. I've learned a lot about content creation, finding different ways to make your content more interesting, and of course, venturing out of blogging and doing some other things. I know I've been on different podcasts for other bloggers. I've been featured in some other magazines and other blogs and websites. And honestly, I just like talking about it. I love talking about blogging. And I'm really excited to chat with you guys today because I get to do something that I love doing, and that's talking about blogging. So without further ado, I'm going to jump in and start answering some of your questions. Okay, so I'm going to start with the questions I got in the Blogger Supporting Bloggers group, as I mentioned before. So let's see what we have here. All right, the first question comes from Stephanie. And the question she has is, what is the best way to market my blog without spending money on advertising? And I think this is a great question because getting traffic to our blogs is super important, right? And I know like everyone knows that you can pay for it as far as like doing Facebook ads, Pinterest ads, Twitter ads. And then, I mean, there's a ton of other ways too you can pay to get traffic. Some ways aren't really okay with Google paying to get traffic to your website. So the nice free ways to get traffic to your blog is always a good question. I'll start with some of the things that I know that I've done on my blog to get free traffic. And the first thing that we all gravitate to is social media, right? My favorite places to get traffic as far as like social media goes is Pinterest and Instagram. Those are my top two social media platforms where I get traffic to my site. Pinterest is number one by far. I think a reason for that is because Pinterest isn't really like a social media channel. It's more like a, what do you call them? Like a search engine, right? So Pinterest is closer to being more related to Google as opposed to Facebook or Twitter. So I love Pinterest for that. The main way I do that as far as getting traffic from Pinterest is making sure that I post any new content that I have to my boards on Pinterest. And then I also make a point to share my content to to Tailwind. So Tailwind is a platform that I use as a tool to share your content to Pinterest. And I share to Tailwind tribes. Tribes are these little groups where you can share other people's content and they share yours, kind of like an exchange deal. And it's nice because you can go into different, I say tribes, it's not called tribes anymore, it's called communities. And you can go into these different communities, and what they are is they're labeled by different categories. So if you are a finance blogger, you can focus on the finance community. And if you're a lifestyle blogger, you can focus on the lifestyle community. So it's really good, and it's not like spammy because you get to actually pick which content you like, and it's related to your actual blog. So I think Pinterest, Tailwind, great way to get free traffic. Instagram, another great way, which you may not think because there's only so many places that you can click to go to your website on Instagram, your bio, your link in bio. And then once you get to 10,000 subscribers on Instagram, you also have the ability to add a link in your stories. So if you don't have 10,000 subscribers on Instagram, you can't have a link in your stories. But yeah, those are the two ways. As long as you use a tool like link in bio or Linktree is another one that I know that a lot of people use. You should still be able to put different links within that one link in your bio for people to go to your various blog posts. So those are the two social media channels that I use for free traffic. The other way to get really good free traffic, I think, is through SEO. So making sure that you're putting in good keywords in your content so that you show up for Google. Making sure that you show up for Google, I think that is, you want to make sure you're doing your research ahead of time, right? So before you write the article, do some research to say, okay, is anyone actually searching for this key term? I'm not going to go into the details about what my strategy is when it comes to SEO because it's a little long, but also I have videos on it. So definitely check out our channel, Blogging Money Life. I have a video where I talk about SEM Rush, which is my primary tool I use for SEO. It is amazing. It has made a huge difference for me when it comes to how much traffic I bring into my website organically. And it's my SEM Rush review on our YouTube channel, Blogging Money Life. I also have a video that I created last week that talks about how I made $4,000 in affiliate income last month. And most of that traffic came for free organically because of my SEO strategy. And I talk a little bit about my strategy there. So I'm not going to bore you with the details for that. Go ahead and check out those videos and you can get all the different details on my SEO strategy. Okay, I see there are a few questions here, so I'm going to pull them up so I don't miss any. Alicia, she says, how do you get to join? So I'm guessing you're asking about the Tailwind communities. Well, let me see. There's a few things I mentioned in there. I said Tailwind communities, our YouTube channel, of course. And then I also talked about, I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. So Tailwind communities, you can join Tailwind for free. Just go to, I think it's tailwindapp.com is their website. I'll post the link in the description after this video, just so that after I'm done with the live, just so you have that resource. I have a little notebook here, so I'm gonna make sure I don't forget anything. So Tailwind communities. And if you're not sure what community to join, I have one called Millennial Lifestyle, which is just a lifestyle community, pretty much good for most blogs. So I'll share the link to that too. I'll make sure that you get in. As far as joining, if you wanted to check out our YouTube channel, you go to search Blogging Money Life on YouTube, and I will also include the link to that in the comments as well. All right. And then if you subscribe, you won't miss anything. Our next Q&A that we do next month, as well as any other videos I create or that we create about blogging. And we also talk about our journey on a big move that we have coming up. So my husband, Chris, and I were moving to Costa Rica this year. So you can actually catch up on the details of that as well on our channel, Blogging Money Life. All right. Okay, yay. Alicia says yes, the Tailwind community. Okay, so I gave you more information than you needed just to be safe. But hey, let me know if you have more questions. All right, so let's see what other questions we got here. We have a question from the Ordinary Snob. So let's see what you have to say. Ordinary Snap says, I joined Tap Influence, Social Blue Book, and Telefluence, ShareAcel, Ambassador. None of them seem to work. I have a beauty and skin blog. How do I find sponsors for paid blog posts? Okay, this is a good question because it seems elusive a little bit when it comes to getting opportunities for sponsored posts. And I'm glad you asked that because that's actually like my specialty. Until last month, sponsored posts have been the number one way that I bring in income for my blog, Miss Millennium Magazine. And what you'll find is there are so many ways to get opportunities. I think you're on some good channels, Tap Influence and Telefluence. I would like to mention that ShareAcel isn't really a sponsored post channel. It's more of an affiliate channel. Not to say that you can't find sponsored post opportunities there too if you're actually pitching brands. But I'll tell you my favorite ones that you should sign up for. One is IZEA, and that's IZEA. I'm gonna make sure I write that down so I give you a link to that. IZEA is a great platform because they're probably one of the biggest ones. I think they actually purchased Tap Influence, if I remember correctly. And the secret to getting different opportunities for them is making sure you have your profile completed all the way. Like, think about all the different tags you can have on your platform, on your channel, all the different types of content that you've written before. I'll have all of that filled out so that you get accepted for more opportunities, or just see them. You can't see any opportunities on IZEA until your profile is filled out completely. So I think that's a good one to check out. Another one I love is Massive Sway. And I'll make sure that you have access. I'll send the link to that too, so that you have it. What's another one that I love? Massive Sway is a good one. Drawing a blank here. Oh, Activate. Activate is another good one. Honestly, I have a list of over 150 influencer networks that I give away for free. I'll give you the link to that. And just go through them and check out the ones that you feel like work out for you. You do have to click through to look at what their platform is all about and what type of influencers they're looking for. But yeah, I think there are plenty that you can sign up for different influencer networks. In regard to if you wanted to pitch brands, I would recommend signing up for Commission Junction, also called CJ.com. And what's great about this, now this is a platform for affiliates, right? If you want to find different affiliate programs. And what's great about them is all the different affiliate programs that you see on there, they actually include the email addresses for all these different brands. So you know exactly who to reach out to who works with influencers. And what I often do is I pitch brands by sending them an email through CJ. And I say, hey, I know that you have an affiliate program, but will you also be interested in doing a sponsored post with me? And I actually have gotten a lot of deals with brands where they pay me upfront for a sponsored post, and they'll do some type of affiliate deal with me as well. So I continue to get paid for that article for the affiliate. So those are the top ones I would say to go to when it comes to your overall getting picked for sponsored posts. Let me see here. And of course, my cat wants out of the room. Let's see here. All right. The Ordinary Snob says, I'm subscribed to your email and Facebook. Oh, great. Awesome. All right. So you should have access to that list as far as the sponsored post opportunities. I think that I have quite a few on there. I mentioned the top ones, but when I put in the opportunities for like the ones I mentioned, IZEA, Sway, and Activate, I'll give you a few more of my favorite ones for you, just so you can start with the best ones and kind of work your way through the rest. All right, that was a good question. Thank you. Okay, let's see here. Man, I see the question just coming in. All right, this question is from Kitana the Justice. Kitana says, what is your advice on blogger platforms such as Propeller Ads, etc.? Okay, so blogger platforms, I used to use Propeller Ads actually. And what Propeller, I know they're pretty much just like an advertising network. And I use Propeller Ads along with some other like advertising platforms you probably never heard of before. I know the big ones are like Mediavine and AdThrive for advertising. Um, but propeller ads, they're fine. You know, if you haven't been accepted, you haven't got to, I think it's 50,000 followers or subscriber, or was it 50,000 sessions you need to have before you're accepted into Mediavine. And I think they're perfectly okay. The difference between propeller ads versus like going with something like Mediavine is not managed. So they pretty much say, okay, we'll pay you, you know, this much for every 1,000 views you get, but you have to figure out where to put the ads on your site. You have to make sure you're paying attention to what are the best pages and then optimizing it along the way. Whereas platforms like AdThrive and Mediavine, they do that for you automatically, and they see what works and what doesn't, and they give you all the analytics so you can make better decisions on how to improve your content. So yeah, I know I had to do things like propeller ads until I got to the number of followers I needed for Mediavine. But yeah, eventually you'll get to the ones where they manage it for you. But yeah, propeller ads, I think they're perfectly fine to use. Okay, let's see here. Okay, yeah, Katana the Justice says, I mean, ad platforms. Okay, yeah. So I think propeller ads is fine. Another one I've used in the past before is Ezoic. They were pretty good. I use, of course, Google AdSense. That's another one that I've had on my website before I got accepted into Mediavine. Media.net is another good one as far as like different ad platforms. Again, all these ones you have to manage it yourself. They're not managed. And I think I've had multiple of those on my website at once, just because I'm like saying, okay, this one works better on these type of pages, and these I have one of each on my homepage, and just like different things like that. It's so much work. It's so much work, especially if you're not getting a whole lot of traffic to your website. I actually would not recommend doing that. What I just told you, like getting all these different ad platforms and putting them on your site and optimizing here and there. I feel like it's better to just focus on growing your traffic. Like pick one of those to throw on your site if you want to bring in something. But it's better to just focus on growing your traffic so you can get to manage platforms like Mediavine and other ones, because advertising isn't a big way to bring income with your blog. Unless you're getting like millions of sessions and things like that on your site, you're not going to see substantial income from advertising. So I think it's a good idea to just focus more on just growing your traffic and then go from there. All right, let's see what else we got here. Alicia's Adventures asks, how do you know what people are searching for? Okay, so I use this tool called Keywords Everywhere. Well, and what it does is it shows you what people are searching for, right? So let's say I search for the word blog, right? What Keywords Everywhere does, it tells me how many people per month are searching for the word blog. It also tells me how competitive that keyword is. So it'll tell me, okay, this is a super competitive keyword. You may not want to go after it based on, your blog traffic that you have. And it's a super helpful tool. I know like a lot of people that you want to be modest when it comes to your spending. At least I know I was when I first started my blog. The Keywords Everywhere, you get charged by the search. And I paid $10 2 years ago for, I think, like 10,000 searches. And no, it was for 100,000 searches. It was like something crazy. And I still have like 70,000 searches left over. So I think it's a tool that's just worth it. You just put a little Chrome extension in your browser, and you can just, search all day and do your keyword research that way. So that's how you know what people are searching for. At least that's one way. Another way you can figure that out is going through your analytics and seeing what keywords people are searching when they get to your website. And then another way you could is going through the SEMrush tool. It can give you a good idea of like doing different keyword research there as well, to figure out how many people are searching for a specific keyword and how competitive it is. So yeah, there's a few places you can figure out what people are searching for. That is a good question. All right, so I think the questions have slowed down a little bit here. So if you guys have more questions, go ahead and continue to ask them. And I will go ahead and go back to the questions that I received prior to this. I want to make sure I get through those as well. But yeah, keep asking your questions. All right. So the next question I have from the Facebook group is, what are some freebies people give in exchange for info? Ooh, okay. This is a fun question because I feel like with blogging, you get to be creative sometimes, and then you still have to go through the other side and look at your analytics and do some optimization here and compare and contrast. Like, it's very like scientific, this side of blogging, and then there's the other side of blogging that is like, yay, creative, fun. And I feel like figuring out a good freebie to give to people so that they sign up for your newsletter or your email list is a really fun thing to do. All right, so of course you want to make sure that you're giving something good, right? You don't want something that anyone could have just done a Google search for and they found it easily, right? So you want something good, something unique may be nice, but I don't think it necessarily has to be, because even if you make something that someone else has done, if you put your own spin on it, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal, so long that it brings value. So a few things that come to mind. Well, one, before I tell you like some of the ideas I have, I want to start by saying like, you don't want to spend too much time on creating this because it just shouldn't take that much time for you. I can't remember what blogger I learned this from, but you never want to spend more than 30 minutes creating your freebie, right? So if it's something that takes more than 30 minutes, it's not a freebie. You probably need to be selling that thing. Okay. So that's a good rule of thumb as far as like knowing what to create. All right. So here are some ideas I think of when it comes to a freebie. A list of something. I know that when I first got started with blogging, I was searching things all the time, right? I was looking for, I was looking for example, I love income reports. I don't know if you guys like reading like blog income reports. Like, they are a really good source of information for me. So you can make a list of like the top 10 income reports for bloggers. Like if you wanted a blogging audience, for example. So lists are always good because you're doing that research for people and putting it together. I would definitely give someone my email address if they did some research and put a list together that's relevant to your niche, right? I think a worksheet. A worksheet is always a really good something to give away to people. I know one worksheet that I give away is a blog goal worksheet. So it's just a list of different questions that I like to ask people so they can think about what their goals are when it comes to their blogs. And I think it's a useful tool because a lot of people just don't think about this. Like, they know what they want to do, but they don't really do a lot of research or thinking on, why do I want this, right? Why do I want to hit this number with my blog? What does that mean for me and my family and my future? So having a worksheet, really good one. If you can do a mini course that you can put together in 30 minutes, I think that's great. Like a video series is always good, or a video just teaching someone something very important. That is a good opportunity too for something free to give away. What else? If you know how to put a little tool together, that's always helpful. Something that is not a freebie for me is something I sell, but I put together a calculator for people to know how much you should be charging for sponsored posts, which is, I know some people, there are some tools you can pay for to do this, and they charge you every single month to get the pricing. And I don't even think the pricing is all that accurate. So I created a calculator. So once you pay for it once, it's yours. Just have it. So calculators, if you know how to do that, like in a Google Excel sheet, that's something that's really cool to give away for free. Honestly, just think about like things that you want or things that you needed when you first got your blog started, or when you got started in your journey for your niche. Let's say, for example, you're a finance blogger, right? And when you got into this because you overcame something, right? You had this problem, you probably overcame it, and now you want to teach other people how to overcome it. What are some of the things that you were searching for that didn't exist? That's when you want to start thinking more about, that could be a freebie, that could be a blog post, that could be a video. And really just thinking through the time frame it takes to make that. And that's how you determine if it's a freebie, a blog post, or some other piece of content. So really, really good question. I love that one. All right, I'm going to ask one more question I have in this Facebook group before I get to more of you guys' questions. All right. So another question, this one's from Ashley. She asks how to get people to engage in your posts. Some of ours reach thousands, yet nobody interacts other than like the posts. Oh, other than like a post, not our page, or leaves a comment. Okay. So let me see here. I don't know if this means engaging your posts like on social media. It sounds like social media, just the way she's describing it, like other than a like and then leaves our page, not a comment. So my biggest advice when it comes to engagement of any kind, whether it's on social media or it's on your blog or video or email, this is what I really learned. This is an email, honestly. Engage them. Ask them questions. What I think a lot of us forget when it comes to blogging, because we're talking to people, we're talking at people, right? We're writing about ourselves, we're doing all these things, and it's a conversation. That's the reality of it. So if you want more engagement on your social media, start asking questions. Tell a story about yourself and say, this thing happened to me when I was a kid. Has this happened to anyone else? Let me know in the comments if this has happened to you. Or what do you think about this story? Do you believe the same thing, or do you disagree with what I'm saying? I have had like so many emails that I've sent out to people and I've received replies, and we have a healthy debate. They don't agree with something that I said, or they completely agree with what I said. But it's nice to realize that there is a person at the other side of whatever content that you're putting out there. And as long as you think about that and you know that that's a reality, they're a real person, not just like a number, right? I think that's the way to get more engagement. You got to ask some questions and talk to them. One big part too of that is making sure you're addressing them properly. I think on social media, people realize that, okay, she's obviously not talking directly to me. She's talking to a group of people. Otherwise, like, we'd be having a private conversation. But in email, for example, I try to stay away from saying you guys or hey y'all, because I'm talking to you. I showed up in your inbox, so I'm going to address you by your name, and I'm going to say, so tell me about yourself, name, what is going on with you? And we have a private conversation where I reply back to my emails. Sometimes they're a little late, but I try to reply back. So yeah, just keep your audience in mind, keep the atmosphere in mind as far as like other people around. Can other people see this conversation that we're having? And just treat them like people, and you'll get more engagement for sure. Okay, I'm going to switch back over to our live questions, and then I'll come back to the questions that we have in the Facebook group. All right, so Alicia, you are on fire today, girl. You said, how do you grow your traffic? All right, so we talked about getting traffic, right? But growing traffic is another story. I'm going to assume you're talking about growing your like social media followers. When you say how do you grow your traffic, as opposed to growing your traffic on your blog. And I'm going to start with the social media bit because oh, Kitana says I can vouch for that. I think she's referring to me replying to emails, because we had an email exchange. Was that yesterday? Yesterday, Kitana? I'm glad you showed up. Okay, so getting back to this question, Alicia's adventures, how do you grow your traffic? So I'll start with social media, and then you let me know if I'm wrong as far as like which angle you're going with this one. So growing your social media, it depends on the channel that you're working with. My personal favorite social media channel is Instagram. And the way I grow my traffic there is the first thing, consistency. So it's good to make sure that you're trying to post on each of your social media once a day. I say when you're first starting out, start on one channel at a time, master it. And then after you master it, go on to the next channel. But you do want to get mastering it means that you've gotten to a healthy point where you're sharing at least one post a day, and it's kind of happening on autopilot. And there are plenty of tools you can use to make it happen on autopilot. So I think consistency is a good way to make sure that you're growing your social media traffic. Another thing I like to do is making sure that I am focused on growing my followers. So it's different for every channel that you go on. I know for Instagram and Pinterest, for example, if you follow other people's followers, there's a high likelihood that they're going to follow you back. So I know for Instagram, I typically find people who have a similar blog to mine. For example, I focus on bloggers who blog about blogging, and then I'll go and I'll follow their followers until Instagram tells me to stop. I do that a little bit every day. That's a really good way to grow my followers. And I can almost guarantee you that you'll get followers doing that consistently every day, because some people are always going to follow you back. So following people, that's another way to grow your social media followers. Okay. And then I see Alicia says, no, she means blogs. Got it. Okay. So I'll switch from social media a bit here. Growing your blog traffic. I don't know. We talked a little bit about that as far as like SEO. That's a really good way to grow your blog traffic. Boosting your social media followers. So it's still kind of relevant there, right? The more people you have on your follower list, the more people who will see your content when you share it there. I think one underrated way to get traffic to your blog that people don't talk about is your email list. So you should be collecting email subscribers from day one with your blog. If you do not have an email list, I highly recommend you sign up and get one ASAP. The email platform that I use currently is ConvertKit. And I love ConvertKit because when they originally got started, they said, hey, we are an email platform for bloggers. So they're always paying attention to different trends and stats and things that bloggers want to know. And they update accordingly to make sure that you have all the tools and functions you need to hit your goals when it comes to blogging. Whenever I have a new blog post, I make sure that I'm sending it out to my email list in my newsletter. So that way I'm getting traffic to my blog posts when they get published. And of course, that means you have to continue to grow that email list. And the bigger your email list gets, the more traffic you're going to see to your blog, so long as you are consistently emailing them and letting them know about your new content. So I think, building your email list and contacting them with your new content is a really, really good way to get traffic to your blog. So just going back to what we talked about so far, growing your blog traffic, you do that by growing your social media followers. And then, of course, posting your content out on your social media platforms. SEO, we talked about that already. That's a really good way to get nice free traffic to your blog. And then, of course, growing your email list. Another really good way to grow your blog traffic and get people to consistently come back to your content. So that is a good question. Thanks, Alicia. Let me see, where's your question at? There it is. Okay. I have a question here from Drown80. How do you improve your current content? Okay, so yeah, I know I talked about that a little bit earlier as far as like how you have that scientist part where you have to optimize and do all these things you're testing, and then the other side is creative. Well, improving your current content, there are a few things that you can do to do that. Now, I have a couple of different, layers to this. I have old content that I improve. I'm talking like years old. It's still on my website, and I saw this article and said, oh, this needs to be fixed. And then I have my content that's fairly recent. It was probably published within the last month or two, but I want to see better results from it, whether it be like more traffic because it's a sponsored post I did for a brand, or I want to get more sales from it because it's an affiliate article. So those are my two categories when it comes to improving my current content. I'll start with the older content first. When it comes to older content, you do want to make sure that you're spending some time periodically going through your site and removing content that's not relevant anymore, or just outdated, just because the more content you have on your website is being counted by Google on what your site is about, right? So if you want Google to recognize you as a blog that's about food, you may want to get rid of all the 50 articles you have that's about money or fitness or whatever. It just helps build up your traffic when you have that content that's more related to what you want to rank for. Right. So that's one reason why I would improve my older content. Another reason is just to get more traffic. I was not always good at SEO at the beginning of my blogging career. So now that I know what I know to get more organic traffic to my blog, I like to go back through my older pieces of content and update them just so that I get more traffic. So, yeah, that's one reason why I would do it. How I would go about improving them, I will update my social media images, meaning like my Facebook, Pinterest images, make sure they're up to date with my brand colors, my brand fonts, and they look good. Another thing I do to older content is I go through and make sure I have good keywords in it so that it's ranking on Google for more traffic. Sometimes I just need to change some stuff out. Like, what was I even trying to say in this paragraph? I swear, every year I look at my old content from a year ago and I'm like, ew, like, I hate this. Like, this is just awful. I can't believe I ever wrote this. And it was just a year ago. So if you're a regular blogger, you will be surprised at how different your style changes and just your overall, you getting better as a blogger. So it makes sense to go back and change things, like just grammatically, spelling, and just being more concise. That's one problem I have. I ramble, if you can't tell. So those are some of the things I change in my current content. On the other side, when it comes to recent content that I update, is usually because I want to see more of an outcome. And this is me doing the A/B testing, optimizing. How can I get more sales? I have a few articles that bring in regular income for me for affiliates. And I'm used to seeing a certain number of sales a day. And if I notice a decline in any of those sales, what I start doing is I say, okay, time to get this going and make sure that I get more sales. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll do more keyword research, see if there are any new keywords that are showing up, and add those to the article. So that's one thing that I do to make sure that I'm improving my current content, so I'm getting more traffic to it and getting more sales because of that. What else do I do to my current content? I think the keyword part is probably the most important. Another thing I do, and this is related to SEO, if there are any changes to Google where they're saying like, hey, you're not allowed to do this anymore, that's something you definitely want to go in and make sure that you're updating on your content so that you're doing it properly. I know, or if there are any cool new things that Google says can help you rank higher. Like, for example, I recently found out that adding a YouTube video, embedding it in your blog post helps you with your SEO overall. So I started going back through articles and adding a video so I can get more traffic. So that's a good question. And I feel like I can talk about it all day, but I'm going to stop because I feel like there's just so much I can talk about when it comes to improving your current content. Maybe that's a video I need to make because there's a lot you can do. Okay, so let's see what else we got here. How have you used it? All right, so I think I kind of answered this question already from Drown 80. How have you used SEO keywords to increase blog traffic? So yeah, definitely, I think I've answered that one. Let me see what else you guys have here. Katana the Justice says cringe, like Facebook memories. Yeah, that's how I feel when I go back through my older content. Like, oh my God, what was I thinking about writing this? And it's hard to even recognize it as my own sometimes. Like, I can't believe I wrote this. And it was a popular article. That's the part too, when it's like an article that was popular at one point. Like, not only did I write this, but people were filling this article and I hate it now. So yeah, I think that just comes with growth and developing on your blog. Nice. Alicia says, "Oh, I'm about to embed all my YouTube videos on my blog." Yes, you should. Absolutely. It is a significant difference in traffic once you do that. And you'll start seeing yourself pop up on Google once you add that in there. So I'm glad that tip helped. Cool, cool. All right, y'all keep the questions coming. I'm going to go back to my questions I received in the Bloggers Supporting Bloggers group, and maybe we can get through these, and then I'll finish answering any other questions you guys have on the live feed. All right, so, ooh, this is a long one. So this question came from Brian Carey. He says, I have a question related to both Facebook and Twitter. I have noticed that when I share blog posts from my own blog or from most any other blog, the image doesn't pull over anymore. Have these two social media platforms changed something? Is there a workaround? Shares look much better when an image pulls over automatically. I noticed that this problem only happens with blog post shares. If I share, say, a news article, the pictures pull over with no problem. All right, so I remember having problems like this when I first started blogging because I'll admit I'm still not really a tech person. I have a tech team that helps me, which is just a godsend. They're called WP Tech Support. If you're interested, I'll share the link to them as well. But what it sounds like to me, in my and my idea of what's happening here is something has changed on your website. I don't think that there's been a change on Facebook or Twitter about pictures showing up. I think that maybe something has shifted on your site when it comes to the image associated with your blog post. So it may be worth giving it another look and seeing what if you have a section on your blog that shows the image. And it's hard because if you have a WordPress blog, I know it's different for everyone depending on how you use your blog and what plugins and things you have. My suggestion would be to get some type of social media sharing plugin, because a lot of times what those do is they have a specific section for you to put in. Here's the image that's going to show up on Facebook. Here's the image that's going to show up on Twitter. And you can put your image there so you're not wondering, like, why is this not showing up? It pulls from the same place. So I know the tool that I currently use is the Grow plugin from Mediavine. It used to be called Social Pug, and Mediavine purchased it. So that's the one I use. And I love this one because it's the only one I've seen where it lets you hide your Pinterest images in the background of the article. So if someone has a Pinterest Chrome extension, it automatically shows all the pictures, even the ones that you're hiding, for them to share on Pinterest, but it won't take up space on your blog. So I love that one for that. But there are a ton. I know what's one I used to use? I used to use Jetpack. Jetpack has social sharing elements in their plugin, and that one's free. I think the one I use is like $30 a year or something like that, but I love it. I think it's a really good tool. So yeah, that's what I would do as far as making sure that you have your images pulling over from your website. But again, I'm not a tech person, so you can take that advice with a grain of salt. Okay. Alicia has a question here, and I think that was my last question from the Facebook group. So I am all yours as far as any more questions that you guys have for me in the chat here. All right. So Alicia asks, how long are you moving to Costa Rica? Okay, so we're moving to Costa Rica indefinitely. We are looking at getting our permanent residency in Costa Rica, actually. We're moving, well, it was supposed to be next month. Yeah, so we're moving next month, maybe early July. And yeah, we're just looking for a change. We still have family in the States, so we'll definitely be visiting on a pretty regular basis, but we will be living in Costa Rica. So yeah, we're excited about it. If you're interested in our journey, we have a whole series on YouTube where we talk through, why we're moving in the first place. And then we're doing month by month updates on where we are with packing and getting ready to go and all of that stuff. it helps having a blog because I feel like we have a good outlet to talk through all the different experiences and all the changes that we're going through, just getting ready to go to Costa Rica. If you don't follow us on Instagram, I recommend you sign up too, because we have some little things there too, just little things that we're doing around the house, and just just pictures of us packing and yeah, just some random thoughts along the way. So I'm glad you asked because I love talking about that too. I'm super excited to go to Costa Rica. We've only been there one time before, um, but we loved it, and hoping that it's going to be a good change for us. Okay, what else? I'm going to go back through these because I saw a whole lot come in. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Uh, how do I subscribe? Do I tap influence? All right. All right. So I think I've captured all of you guys' questions um, that I've had that we've had so far. Okay, cool. Alicia says, "Oh, okay, interesting. Congrats. Thanks. Yeah, we're excited about it." So I think that's it, you guys. I don't if you have any other questions, feel free to definitely post them in the comments here. Um, just as a reminder, this is something I think I'm going to do every month. I love talking about blogging, and I love hearing the type of questions that you guys are asking. It gives me really good ideas as far as content for me to create if it's something I'm hearing enough. Like, I know I heard questions about growing your blog traffic in the last Q&A I did. So I'm thinking that may be an opportunity for me to make more content for you guys, just so I can go through the different ways to drive traffic and get into a little more detail for you, because I do think that's one of the more challenging parts of blogging for sure. It's nothing more frustrating than writing content that you put your heart into, put it out there, and just waiting and nothing happens. You don't even know if anyone's reading the content. So yeah, I think that may be something I'll look into. Let's see. Alicia says, yes, are you blogging about it? Yeah, for sure. We're definitely going to blog. I assume you mean Costa Rica. We're definitely going to blog about Costa Rica once we launch our new blog. So we haven't launched it yet, but there will definitely be more content about blogging as well as Costa Rica on the blog. Um, so Alicia says you should get on Stephanie Perry's YouTube channel. She talks about leaving the US. I will definitely check that out. Thank you, Alicia. I'm going to write her name down right now so I don't forget. All right. So I think that's all the questions I have, you guys. Thanks so much for all of your questions and for joining me and talking about blogging. Like I said, this is one of my most favorite things in the world to do. I can do it all day long, but I don't want to take up all of your time, of course. Definitely join us in about a month. I think I already have next month's blogging Q&A added in YouTube. I think I can't put it on Facebook just yet because it's a little early for StreamYard, but definitely go ahead and hit that little bell to be reminded for the next Q&A, and we can do this again next month. All right. Thanks for joining, everyone, and I will talk to y'all next time. Bye.